That's not enough. He has very high expectations for this team, and he mentioned it yesterday. Take a listen to this. It's Super Bowl or bust, Arians told Good Morning Football. That's the goal every year. And you can't get to the Super Bowl if you can't get in the playoffs, so that's been huge for us. But Super Bowl or bust is the headline. Let's bring in our NFL guys, Louis Riddick, Dominique Foxworth, Adam Schefter. Lou, let's start with you. Would it be a disappointment if they don't make it to the Super Bowl?
No question. Look, everything that they have done with the signing of Tom Brady, with the acquisition of Antonio Brown, the signing of Antonio Brown late here in the season, and everything in between has been geared towards turning this culture around quickly, really upgrading the talent on this football team, particularly on the offensive side, and upgrading it in a way that really isn't about talent, but more so about decision-making and playing in big games and, via not turning the football over. And that's really what, the Tom Brady acquisition was all about, on top of the fact that he's just one of the greatest players of all time. Tom's goal every year has been Super Bowls. That's the standard he set when he was in New England for 20 years, for 19-plus years. So now that's the standard he's bringing down there to Tampa Bay and that he has instilled in that organization. So, what else is there for them? Really, what else is there other than making it to the Super Bowl? If they don't get there, then kind of more or less everything else that they have done just kind of goes by the wayside and really doesn't count for much, because this isn't about building a program for the future, although for the GM in the front office it always is. For Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and everything surrounding this football team in the context of 2020, it was about getting to the Super Bowl, no question about it.
Okay, so Neek, here's the thing that gets me, right? If it's Super Bowl or bust for the Bucs in the NFC, there's a very good chance that they're going to have to go through Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers. Do you see this Bucs team as one that can win in Green Bay?
Well, they beat Green Bay pretty handily earlier in the season, but I understand that's going to be different than going into Lambeau in December. But, yeah, I think they can. I think a lot is made of playing in cold conditions, which it's hard, it sucks. But I think Aaron Rodgers said it himself when he was being interviewed. I think it was on Pat McAfee's show, where he kind of said that it's about giving the opponent something else to think about. And I don't think that a guy like Tom Brady is going to allow his team to come in there and focus on the weather necessarily. Clearly, Tom Brady is comfortable in those conditions. That's not to say that the rest of the team is, but with the modern technology they have with a heated field and heat on the bench and big-ass coats, they're going to be fine. They'll be able to play in those conditions, and I think they can win in those conditions. I do think, however, it's scarier that they might have to play the Saints, the team that they really struggle against in this season. They got blown out by and they lost to in week 1 of the season. Playing the Saints is going to be another hurdle for the Bucs that might be even tougher than going into Lambeau for them.
Yeah, Adam, I wonder if they don't get it done this year. Let's say they don't get to the Super Bowl, they don't win the Super Bowl. Do they try to run it back with all these stars they've assembled?
Yo, absolutely. Listen, you have Tom Brady on a 2-year contract, and as long as Tom Brady is there, you're trying to win while he's there. And the players who are around him want to be there, in part because Tom is there. So to me, when Tom Brady signed on in Tampa and he signed a 2-year contract, he created a 2-year window for this team to go to the Super Bowl. And so when Bruce Arians says it's Super Bowl or bust, you wouldn't expect him to say anything else but just that. As long as Tom Brady is your quarterback, it's Super Bowl or bust. And as long as Tom Brady is your quarterback, it'll be Super Bowl or bust every single year that he's there, and he's contractually obligated and tied to Tampa for this year and next year.
So, Lou, how many Super Bowls do you envision Brady winning in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, this is a tough question, man. And you know what? And I hate to be, a wet blanket, but I have a hard time seeing them winning them, only because of this. At some point in time, look, there's 2 teams that they're going to have to go through. They're going to have to go through Green Bay. They're going to have to go through New Orleans. Those are the 2 teams in the NFC that they're going to have to beat. I know that they handed Green Bay a good butt whooping down there at Tampa Bay. But look, I also remember Aaron Rodgers saying this about teams that come to Green Bay. Look, it's all about who can suffer the most, who can last the longest in those miserable conditions. And Tom Brady has proven that he can play in any kind of condition and he can make big time throws in any kind of condition. I don't know if his team is built to handle that, though, to go up to Green Bay and deal with those kind of conditions. An empty stadium, it's dark, it's cold. That's a different kind of cold up there, man, and we know that. That cold makes people tap out. And in New Orleans, look, right. They just have a mental block with New Orleans right now. New Orleans is like in Tampa Bay's head. And so I don't know, over the next 2 years, depending upon what happens with Drew down there in New Orleans and what's going on with their quarterback situation, that's what makes it tough for me to see a very distinct, clear path to them getting to a Super Bowl and winning one Super Bowl, because these other teams are still they're still loaded, and they both pose different problems for Tampa Bay in order to get to their ultimate goal.
See, I find that fascinating because, Nick, this is exactly why Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. The idea was we win Super Bowls, we get it done there. When you talk about the cold going into Green Bay, my thought is that he's talking to these guys and talking about how they can't let that affect them. They got to focus on the overall goal. But what do you think? He doesn't win any Super Bowls in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I agree. It's zero. It's zero to me if I had to bet on it. Winning Super Bowls is hard. And what Lou just pointed out was the two teams they have to get past just to get to the Super Bowl. Then they get there, and they're going to have to play maybe the Chiefs, maybe the Bills, someone else who is a championship caliber team. Like, it's hard to win Super Bowls. It's especially hard to drop a guy in and then just have instant chemistry. They're building, they're getting stronger, but we haven't seen them be dominant. And that's how you have to be if you feel like you can just guarantee a Super Bowl to a team. Anything could happen on any given weekend in the playoffs. And Tom Brady, he's getting old. I know that he's really good, and he hasn't shown much of a decline except for when he's under pressure. But his career is aging, and at some point, Father Time is undefeated, as they say. At some point, it's going to have to catch up to him. And I'm not sure if it's going to be this year or next year or the year after that. But at some point, they're going to have to put more pressure on somebody else on this team. And I'm not sure they all can handle it the way that Tom can.
Okay, let me make a note. Run this back if Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl. Okay, I got it.
No.
All good, guys.
Erase this whole segment.
Of course. All right. Let's go on the clock. This is the last day of 2020, so time to go on the clock. Looking at some New Year's resolutions. Meek, I'll start with you. Who's your resolution for?
All right, so right now, my resolution is for Kyle Shanahan and Matt Ryan. I resolve that they rekindle their relationship in San Francisco. They got unfinished business from the Super Bowl. You remember when Matt Ryan was an MVP, and you remember